Hi, everybody. We have got a very special interview today. I'm here with Professor Melissa. Professor, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so why don't we start at the top by just talking about where people can go to learn more, because your channels are exploding across many different platforms. So where should people go to find more of your content and learn more about you?
Probably the best place is my website, profmelissa.com, because right there in the top header bar is a link to all of my social channels, which I am pretty much on all of them. And then my website also has a lot of great resources for cruisers like free port guides.
Awesome. Well, I want to start out by the name Professor Melissa. I got to ask, where did that come from? I assume you are a professor. Tell us about this.
Yeah, it's funny sometimes the trolls on the internet like to say, because they hate influencers and it's, oh, get a job. And what are you a professor of? I'm like, well, actually, I have a job. I am a full-time professor. Thank you very much. I am an associate professor of management in the College of Business at the University of Cincinnati. So I am very lucky to have a very flexible job. I got the luck of the draw. In the last 3 semesters, I was able to teach remotely. 1 semester I was on sabbatical because I wrote a textbook right here. And so I got to spend lots of time cruising and starting to actually unexpectedly build a cruise content brand. And in the fall, I do have to teach in person. So I have to be a little more strategic about my cruising in the fall.
Now, have you learned a lot of lessons from building this creator and influencer business that you're going to weave into your teaching?
Oh yeah, I talk about it all the time and my students love it because the magic of teaching is when you're able to talk about real life stuff and marry it with academic theory, which gets pretty boring and theoretical. It's kind of hard to understand and connect. So in my teaching, I've always taken my real life experiences. And so now that includes content creation and management, which is what I teach, because there's a lot of things you got to do. Like I've been knee deep in the last 2 days in trying to scale my business, which means automations, building systems, workflows, SOPs, hiring people. And that's a whole lot of work that people don't see that's happening behind the scenes.
Man, that's fascinating. So you were obviously a student of management, into business. You decided to teach it. When did you decide to take all those skills you learned and launch a channel?
So it all happened kind of accidentally, but I'm an opportunist. When I see opportunity, I'm going to jump and take that chance. So I always had 2 jobs. I've always been kind of a hustler. I've always liked to work, but I always worked for other people. And about 3 years ago, I'm like, this is crazy. I just want to be just professor. And so I took a big income hit to become just professor because I'd always had 2 jobs. But for the first time in my life, I could do what I love, which is travel, which is cruise. And as I was cruising, being a teacher, I love to share helpful information. And so I started making content just to legitimately try to help people because that's what I love to do. It makes me feel so good and fulfilled. And it just started blowing up. And of course, the business brain said, wait a minute, I can make a business out of this and actually then do more effective work at helping people when it comes to traveling and cruising. And so that's how it was all born.
And so when you started putting out content, giving people, sharing tips. Was there one piece of content that kind of went viral and you're like, oh, I'm onto something? Or was it kind of a slow build, or what was that like?
Oh, it was one piece of content in particular, and it was a year and a half ago, and it was about Carnival Cruise Line, which is my favorite cruise line. And it was my first million view video. And it was one that struck a little controversy. So I took some heat for it too, which wasn't fun, but that's the side you get. And I had just stumbled into TikTok's creator fund and didn't really know what it was, but I made so much money off of that one video that it was worth taking the heat. And I again said, wow, this is pretty lucrative. Maybe I could replace my second job income and not ever have to have a traditional second job again. And I could just be professor and I can make content and actually make enough money off of it so I can afford to travel because I do cruise monthly. And part of me cruising monthly isn't just affording it by having content creation, but also it's leveraging casino cruises. So I figured out how to kind of game the system to do what I do.
That's interesting. So, well, one, yeah, like if anything viral, you're probably going to piss some people off, right? Controversy is what creates passion, right? And helps it spread. Do you remember, obviously you remember, but can you share kind of what that video was? And we'll add in the link in the description to that video. But yeah, tell us about it.
It was about how I took, actually it's Carnival Mardi Gras. It was a birthday cruise, and our cruise director, which was the Flying Scotsman, he just retired, but he was very popular Carnival cruise director for a long time. He wouldn't let people twerk. The dance parties and the Lido Jack, and that's part of like the Carnival culture. And also, they had started really pushing their drug sniffing dogs, and so the title of the video was Carnival Ain't Playing. And I was like, oh, Carnival, they're not playing anymore. They got the drug sniffing dogs. They're not letting you twerk. And everyone's like, oh my God, Carnival banned twerking. And then it became this big debate and this discussion. And Carnival even remixed it and posted it and didn't give me credit. But then people called them out and then they gave me credit. But that's what blew it up. And then about 9-10 months ago, I made an upside down pineapple video. So unfortunately, everyone now thinks I'm a swinger, which I am not. But that was my most mega viral piece of content. I think across all platforms, it's probably like 30 million views. And it's literally me walking down a hallway, seeing an upside down pineapple and making a face. That's all it is. There's no words. There's nothing. It's just, yeah. So then everyone's like, oh my God, I'm like, no, I don't swing. No judgment to the upside down pineapple club. Y'all are great, but that's not me.
Yeah, I feel like they're gonna need a new fruit and a new symbol, because now it's blown up. Because I was in this business for like 7 years before I heard about that, and then now I can't help but notice it. But I feel like if they want to stay underground, they're gonna have to get a kiwi, cut in half. I don't know what they're gonna come up with, but it's got to be something different.
Right.
So for somebody that hasn't visited your channel yet or consumed your content, which everybody should because it's awesome, how would you describe what makes your channel unique?
I think it's my authenticity. So, what I love about casino cruising is I have more free casino offers on cruises than I can use. So I can cruise almost any cruise line I want to, except for Disney. They don't have a casino. So I'm not beholden like a lot of other creators are to feed the beast. And so I'm not sponsored by Carnival. I'm not sponsored by anyone. And so if I go on a cruise and I have a bad experience, I always try to be positive because that's me. I'm a very upbeat, positive, see the good and the bad kind of person. But if there's some BS, then I'm going to call out the BS. And so I think my audience really trusts me because they know I'm always going to give them the truth.
Now, being a rapidly growing creator, for better or worse, you're going to start being recognized by fans, I assume, when you're out traveling. Do you remember the very first time that somebody spotted you out in the wild?
Actually, I do. And it also was on Mardi Gras birthday cruise. Actually, it was the same one where my one went viral. So I had kind of like a smaller following. So I was really shocked to get recognized. And it was in the casino. And someone came up and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. Someone recognized me. And now especially Carnival, when I cruise Carnival, it's probably 15 to 20 times a day. It's frequent. People want pictures, which the first time someone asked me for a selfie, that was really interesting. Like, really? You want a picture with me? Okay. So, yeah.
How cool. Now, are there any creators, from the same niche or other niches that kind of inspired you? You're like, I like what they're doing. I'm going to apply that to travel and casino.
So this is a weird answer. I do not intentionally follow any other creators because I do not want to be unintentionally influenced myself. I think the other thing my audience really appreciates is that I am very original. So I don't ever want to even accidentally see something someone else does and be like, oh, I'm going to make a video. Because I've had so many people, it happens almost daily now, that completely rip off my content. And I don't want to be that person. And I also don't want to get into that trap of comparing myself to others. So I've always lived my life of I don't compete against other people, I compete against myself. So every day I try to do better with my business, make better content, but I'm competing with myself and doing better than I did yesterday versus what so-and-so is doing.
I've heard that from stand-up comedians as well, where some of them just intentionally stay away from hearing other people's acts because they don't want to accidentally pick up a joke. And then they're like, oh, you ripped that off from somebody else. So that's great. So tell us about your process after you film something. Like what is your process for creating content, right? Like, do you have an idea and then you go shoot the video, or like something pops up and you pull out the camera, or like walk us through your process?
Most of my stuff, at least when I'm on a cruise, is spontaneous. And my most viral stuff has been that very organic, authentic spontaneity. Again, so the pineapple one, like you had heard that for years. I've cruised for years and I I think that was like my 26th cruise. I'd never seen one. So I kind of started to think it was lore, like, oh, this doesn't really happen. I was walking down the hallway and I'm like, oh my God, there's the first upside down pineapple I've ever actually seen on a stateroom door. So completely just busted out my phone and filmed it. And then again, 30 plus million views. And then another big viral one, it was late night on the Lido deck with my friend. We were getting Pizza Pirate on Carnival, and there was somebody working on the pool. And I'm like, oh, and I'm as an educator, I'm a voracious learner. I always want to know about everything. I love stupid little random facts. So I went up to this pool guy and I'm like, oh, tell me all about cruise ship pools. And it was elegant night. So I'm just like in my dress and I'm just like, here's the scoop on cruise ship pools. And that went mega viral. So a lot of times it's really like raw, easy, like little editing. I do it in like 3 minutes that go the most viral because that's the natural stuff. That's the in the zone. And people are just interested to hear those things.
Well, you mentioned earlier that as your channels expanded like crazy, and everybody go check out profmelissa.com to see all our different channels. You are starting to put new processes in place and grow your team. Like, tell us about that. Where were you starting to see bottlenecks where you're like, oh, I need to bring in outside support?
Oh, I'm going through it right now because I am completely overhauling my social media content moderation and the tool that I use to schedule and repurpose all content because it's just not as efficient as it should be. And I love systems. I love efficiency. And I have a little bit of ADHD, the H part, so I get hyper fixated. So actually the last 3 days I have been like in the zone from sun up to sundown trying to put this puzzle together because I am getting over 2,000 comments, DMs, messages a day, and I'm one person. I cannot answer that. And also like the same questions over and over again. So I'm trying to figure out, I haven't quite cracked the nut yet of how to implement maybe some AI tools. So when I get my literal 500th questions of the day of, how much do you have to spend in the casino to get a free cruise? I can say, I have a chat bot that says, I actually have a whole guide about this. You can find it here. I have a YouTube video about it in depth. You can find it here. So I don't have to keep giving these links and sharing this information over and over again.
Makes total sense. Yeah, it's something we are experimenting with here at URComped is AI. There's definitely a lot of I wouldn't say bugs, but there's a lot of challenges that pop up that you just kind of keep hammering and adjusting the prompts and things like that. So it's we could talk offline, see if we can share any tips. But yeah, if you look at certain people that are posting, it's like, oh yeah, this is it. You flip a switch and AI is ready to take over everything. But then you start seeing some of the answers it's giving. You're like, oh no, there's still ways to go.
Yep. And it is so exciting to see where it is. And I know where it's going to go. And it's like, it's not quite there yet. And when it is there, it's going to be a magical thing. But right now it's kind of like a little bit of this, a little bit of AI, a little bit of a virtual assistant. But yeah, not quite there yet, but it's exciting to be alive at this time and see it grow.
All right, well, let's talk about an area that you're an expert in, that's cruising. So I've got 2 questions. One, what's your favorite port out of all the cruise you've been on? And then 2, what's your favorite restaurant on board any of the ships you've been on?
So my favorite port is one that I just went to 2 weeks ago on Monday, and it's Taormina in Sicily, Italy.
Oh, wow.
Did a European cruise. It was amazing. It was magical. And then on 2-week anniversary, a volcano erupted. So Mount Etna is the iconic volcano in that area, and it just erupted. Thank goodness everyone is safe and fine. That's a little unnerving to see. Oh, I was just there, and now there's a volcano eruption. But that's going to happen in towns that are underneath volcanoes. And then my favorite on-ship restaurant, I would say, which is interesting because I do not like Chinese food ordinarily, is Chibang on Carnival. And that's why I'm a big fan of the Excel ships, because you get 1 free dinner in Chibang. And I not only get my free dinner, I even pay the $7 to go repeatedly. And again, at home, I never eat Chinese food. And it's Chinese Mexican hybrid and fusion, and love it.
Oh, let's try that. That's a great tip. Now, what are you most excited about over the next 12 months with your channel?
I'm excited to continue scaling and rolling out automations and streamlining process, because as a management professor, this is the stuff I teach. And so to be able to do it in real life is really cool. And hiring people, it's expensive. So when that payroll hits, I'm like, I kind of miss the days when I was a solopreneur and I got to keep all the revenue. my business expenses now, sometimes I look at it and I just want to like throw up. But you got to spend money to make money and to deal with all the inquiries and the messages and the opportunities that I'm getting every day. I have to have a team. And I do love managing people. I've managed people in real life my whole life. I don't just teach it, I've done it. But I'm excited about that. And then I've also been recruiting travel agents and watching people have the opportunity to start their own business. And a lot of people start, they're like, oh, it's too much, and they drop, right? So it's a pretty high percentage, and that's okay. But for some people, it opens a door for freedom and potential new career. And to be a part of that, that feels really good to me too.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, you got all those students, you got some cheap labor there, put your TAs to work.
You know, it's so funny. Here's the thing. When your brand is you, you hold that so close to the vest. So right now, my very small team is my boyfriend and one of my best friends, because they're the only people I trust to actually hand over the keys to the kingdom and to act as me or to email on my behalf. And so I know I do. I actually asked Chat GPT. I love Chat GPT. I have the pro version. And I said the other day, I said, go nuclear on me. What do I need to hear that's stopping me from scaling? And it said, you've got to give up control. And I'm like, all right, I know that, but I needed to hear it from my chat bot. And so, you know, giving up control is harder when the brand is you, and that's you. So I'm getting there, but I got to build the process first and feel good about it before I hand it off to somebody else.
Now we are all cheering for you. We're so excited to see how fast you're growing. It's amazing. Where can people go to find out more about you and find all your content?
Yeah, profmelissa.com. I'm a big fan of repurposing. So I have content literally everywhere. I have a podcast, Pinterest, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. So whatever channel floats your boat, proverbially, you can find it on my website, profmelissa.com. And in terms of practical resources for cruisers, that's the best to find written form. And I try really hard in my website, my port guides, to link to all my video content, because I think that's what people love too. It's one thing to hear about, you know, Cozumel and what are the beach clubs there, but it's more helpful to actually see it in video form. So I give you both. I give you a really detailed written port guide that hopefully is helpful, but then I also give you links to videos that you can actually visualize it.
That's awesome. Well, we've loved seeing the signups come over from profmelissa.com. We really appreciate it. And the URComped team loves supporting your referrals. So thank you so much. And this has been a super interesting interview. I really appreciate it, Professor Melissa, and hopefully we can do it again soon.
Yeah, hopefully.